G'day guys, John here from FPV Australia. I've got something very exciting to talk to you about today. We have teamed up with a gentleman by the name of Jerry Grayson. Jerry was once a rescue pilot. In fact, I think one of the youngest rescue pilots ever at the age of 17, but then went on to be involved heavily in the film industry, flying manned helicopters for the film industry and broadcast. So we've put together this postgraduate course which will take you from being a drone pilot to actually flying the lens rather than flying the drone to get the best you can out of the camera that you have in the air. I can certainly teach you how to fly a drone, but when it comes to the actual video side of things and how to get the best shot and the best angles and the best light, that's a whole other skill set I don't possess. So we are super excited to team up with Jerry. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Jerry. Jerry, welcome to the FPV Australia team.
Thanks for having me, John. I'm really excited to be playing a small part in this huge explosion of opportunity.
Is that your most favoured flying spot you're sitting in?
It is indeed, yeah. Look at that landscape. There's nobody within about 4 kilometres, so fabulous place for flying drones.
And so for the new generation of pilots who are now using drones, it's going to be a similar process, I guess, from when you went from being a rescue pilot to being one of the most sought after pilots in the world for the film industry, right?
Well, yes, it is, except that I didn't have a guide or a mentor, so that the whole point of this course really is to give me the opportunity to hand over some of the tricks of the trade to the guys who are coming along behind me, to hopefully set them on the path to be professionals, earning a lucrative career, and without having to go through the pain that I went through.
So was that pain because sort of others knew how to do it and you didn't? Or was it basically because the techniques required simply didn't exist?
Well, it's more that the techniques didn't exist, but it was also because we were using actual film in those days, so we didn't have the luxury of recording and playing back and learning from our mistakes. We would have to wait until that film had been processed and then see what the editor put up on the nightly news or whatever the production was. And of course, you don't learn from the stuff that you do well. You only learn from your mistakes. So I think that's one of the big advantages in the learning process now.
So did that mean you had to devise a set of unbreakable guidelines that didn't exist?
Well, no, they're not unbreakable guidelines, but it's more about generating a basic toolbox that you will need on any shoot to create the first and basic shots that any editor is going to need if he's going to use your material, and then going outside that basic toolbox to create the magic. And of course, it's when you go outside of the basics that real creativity starts to happen.
So give me a sense of what some of those tricks and techniques might be.
Okay, well the first tool in the toolbox is to always have a beginning, a middle and an end. And now that might sound like a really, really obvious thing to say, but I'm astounded at the YouTube clips I'm seeing go up online these days from drone pilots who cut into, let's say, a flight along a cliff, and they just cut in at an arbitrary point and we watch it for 1.5 minutes and then they cut out again, by which time A, we're bored, and B, we have no idea what the purpose of the shot was. But to give you some example of that, if I were to create a beginning and a middle and an end of a cliff, the very first thing that I need to know is, why am I doing that shot? What purpose does it serve in the production for which I'm shooting? Let's imagine that it's a drama in which our heroine is, leaving the shores of this land and heading off to new opportunities somewhere else. Then I might start by revealing the cliff, which I could do by just dropping over the edge. I might then have a middle that goes down to the water, and then an ending that tilts up and looks towards the far horizon to which she is travelling. Now I've got a purpose for that shot. I've got a beginning, I've got a middle and an end. But to develop that a little bit further, if you take 1.5 minutes doing that move, then the editor has got no way of using that shot. But if you can find a way of giving that to him and it lasting, let's say, 5 seconds, because it's really only a linking between one piece of the drama and another piece of the drama, then he's going to love you forever. and you're going to be on his next gig, which is hopefully a bigger one. So if I were generating that shot, I would find a way of compressing it, and that's not by speeding up. In fact, oddly, it's by slowing down. So I would do that by hovering over the paddock, motoring forward perhaps no more than 10 meters in the hover, letting the camera reveal the sheer drop down the side of the cliff, and then tilt gently up to see the horizon. Job done in 5 seconds, maybe 10 seconds at the outside. An easy piece of flying, and the editor loves you. So that's just one of the tools that I'm talking about. Have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and know why you're doing it.
So taking a shot like that, do you see like big mistakes being made?
Oh, without doubt. There are two main mistakes that people make. The first is to think that the success of the shot is judged in terms of the length of it that's used. But actually the reverse is true, as you can see from what I've just described, that much better to provide a really excellent, thought-through 5-second shot than a lengthy shot that goes on and on forever. And the second mistake that people are making is to prove what a great pilot they are by putting huge amounts of energy into the way that they fly. And again, the reverse is true, that the smoother, more fluid shot that doesn't overtly say this is an aerial is going to be much more use to an editor.
So this course, is it for people who just want to work in film and TV only?
No, not at all. I mean, quite the reverse of that. If you are doing one of the many jobs that drones have opened up, let's take law enforcement, for example. You're going to be using filming techniques in order to provide what your customer wants. In the case of law enforcement, they're going to want registration plates on cars. They're going to want a wide of the location so that they can identify it. They might need faces. And all of those are film techniques which you learn for film and television, which then when you put that to work in the new area of law enforcement means you've got a very, very happy customer on your hand. Similarly, if a farmer is employing you to do a very industrial job of perhaps surveying his animals or surveying his water troughs and so on, then he really doesn't care what the light looks like. He certainly doesn't want to see the faces of sheep. He wants the counting done. He wants to be able to see into the water trough, and all of those have flying techniques associated with them that we will learn on this course.
So who is going to pay this drone pilot to go filming? So what are the customer's priorities here?
Well, here's a customer I prepared earlier. Sarah, come and join us. This is Sarah, who happens to be my wife, but has really been my creative producer for about 25 years. Has huge experience in both film and television, and commanded the whole of the operation filming the Olympics in Athens in 2004, just as one of the tasks we've done, controlling 10 helicopters at a time. So, Sarah, as an employer of an aerial unit, what are you looking for?
Well, I think we're talking a lot here about drone pilots, but for me it's also the cameraman, it's the aerial team that I'm interested in. And I would really say, before you go on location, have you read the brief? Have you understood the brief? And if you haven't, speak to the producer beforehand or speak to the director beforehand, so that when you arrive on location, you're creatively prepared. I'm assuming you're technically prepared. I'm assuming that you have your batteries well charged, that from an aviation point of view, you understand all the rules and regulations. Because from my point of view as a producer, I'm really booking a creative shot. That's what I'm booking, whether it's a drone that's supplied that or a helicopter. But obviously the drone unit is going to be a lot cheaper than a helicopter, which is why I'm going to consider you. So the first thing is, have you read the brief and have you understood the brief so that arrive on location and be prepared? The second thing I would say is, once you arrive on location, be prepared at all times and then execute, deliver the shots that I've asked for. Deliver exactly what I've asked for if you can. And then once you've done that, show me some magic. Show me the shot on take 2 or take 3 or take 4 that shows the extra magic and something that you and your cameraman can give me. And I'll book you again. But first of all, deliver what I've asked for.
There you go. And she's been employing me for 25 years, so I must be doing something right.
That's great. I mean, it looks like you've really put a lot of thought into this to turn, a good drone pilot into a great pilot to get what they need out of the camera that is in the air. Cost-wise, is this a cheap course? Not a cheap course, is it?
Well, it's an awful lot cheaper than the way I did it with a helicopter strapped to my back. But in all seriousness, the cost of the course is about equivalent to what you would expect to earn on day one of your flying career, and hopefully that goes on to be a lucrative career. I can certainly tell you from my own experience that it is an exciting career. I mean, I have been taken to the most extraordinary places, to the North Pole, filming polar bears, to the burning oil wells of Kuwait. I've been over New Orleans just after Hurricane Katrina, and over Victoria after Black Saturday, of course. So it's a remarkable opportunity to do what you really enjoy doing, do something creative with it, and by the way, it's also fun to have the record afterwards of the various productions that you've worked on. It also gets you to meet some interesting people. I've blown dust in the face of Grace Jones during a James Bond movie, and I've sat on top of a hillside singing Stairway to Heaven with the lead singer of Led Zeppelin, Robert Plant, when we were just preparing to shoot the whole of his music video from the air. So I can promise you certainly a career of surprises, and hopefully a lucrative one as well.
And so your graduates, are they going to compete with you? I mean, you're a great pilot and you know exactly what you're doing. Are they going to be sort of competing with you in this game?
No, John. No, I mean, I've taken your lead on that. Why would you learn to do something and then spend your time competing with your teacher? No, my days of flying helicopters have really been overtaken by the advent of the drones, and I'm looking upon that in quite a positive way, and I'm very motivated to turn over, as I was saying earlier, the tricks of the trade to the guys who are going to pick up the baton, and mentor them at the start of their career and hopefully thereafter. I mean, it's just an extraordinary opportunity that drones have provided to everybody.
Well, thanks for giving us a bit of an insight into what is an outstanding course. I mean, for anyone serious about taking their drone from flying and pushing it around the sky to actually flying the lens and capturing the ultimate shot, I mean, this is a must-do. Guys, if you're looking for information, you can find it on our website under the RPAS training course section, or you can give us, that's fpvaustralia.com.au, or you can give us a call, 02 6112 8551, or you can simply send us an email at training@fpvaustralia.com.au.
Thanks, John. We'll see you guys soon.
Thanks very much, John.
Enjoy.